Good afternoon. Welcome to all that are joining us today. Um, we're going to have some fun today. We're going to talk about AI agents at work and what the future of software execution looks like. Um, if you have any questions, please post it in the Q&A section or in the chat section, and we will happily address any questions that you may have. Um, Today, myself, Jeff Ward, I'm Enterprise Account Executive for Decisions, and my colleague, Josh Lax, will be talking to you about AI, about what we've seen and experienced in the world since this shiny new tool is out there taking all of our attention. But before we get started, Josh, I'd like to know, tell me a little bit about yourself and your experience at Decisions.
Um, yeah, uh, yeah. My name is Josh Lax. Currently, I am the product manager of integrations and AI here at Decisions. I started off probably like 6 or 7 years ago, working on support primarily and working with the sales team developing POCs. I went over to the PS department and I stayed there for about 6 years, and then I moved over to product management full time. And now I just kind of try to you know fix the product and make it easier to work with for you guys, right? If I was developing in PS, I found all those things I did. I'm trying to integrate it into the product to make it quicker.
Hmm. So appreciate that. What attracted you to Decision? 6 years is a pretty big commitment. Why?
Yeah. Actually, yeah, I started off as an intern doing documentation for about 2 months.
Hmm.
I was fresh out of college and looking for anybody that would hire me. Obviously, now that I'm here, I fell in love with the culture, fell in love with the product, and now I'm choosing to stay because of the environment that Decisions has created. So I really fell in love with this place.
Cool. And when you were in professional services, what type of projects did you work on?
Yeah, oh, all kinds. I started off on bigger builds, like a solo developer on a project,
Hmm.
developing for plethora of customers, whether it's UI focused or backend rule engine. Then I went to a project management role where I managed a bunch of people doing projects and developing, and then I moved into a more of a consultant type of role where I helped people like with like process coaching and just helping them implement the build that they're trying to build.
Gotcha. During your time in professional services, what was some of the value that you saw Decisions bring to their clients, the people that were engaging with you?
Oh yeah, I mean, talking to clients, I think after we've built the thing that they're looking to build, right, they were always blown away at the fact that we wrote no code but developed this entire application front to back, and you can see it kind of change how they do things, change about how they think about processes, things that they're looking for reasons to use it, right? It's like looking for a paper processes that are today where a fax machine is sending paper off to different departments. They're looking to automate that, making it cleaner, making it efficient. It was those types of things, and that really shows decisions very, very well.
Nice. Thank you for that. We might touch on that again. I'm going to continue forward. Um, we do have some upcoming events that may be of interest. We do have a client based in the Cayman Islands. Foster's is a large grocery retailer. They offer many services, many different types of services on the Cayman Islands. And so if you're ever visiting the Cayman Islands, feel free to stop into Foster's, buy some fruit, buy an adult beverage. Decisions would be in the back end automating the processes that get the products to their consumers. So we're going to talk about that on the 21st of July. On Thursday, August the 21st, one of my colleagues, Kevin Lundgren, is going to join us and talk about how insurance can scale with the application of low code. So we'll be talking about some examples and ways that we have impacted our insurance clients. So again, if you do have any questions that you would like Josh or myself to address, please put them in the Q&A section or the chat section, and we will address them accordingly. Um, so first and foremost, I'd start here. I would say, so Josh, in your words, what do you see decisions? What is decisions?
Decisions is a workflow and rules engine built to assist you in the development of your processes, right?
Hmm.
Whether they're small, whether they're large, whether they're full end-to-end applications, or whether they're back-end rule engines. Decisions can kind of help you automate processes that your business struggles to implement today, right? It kind of makes them move faster, takes the development of these applications and puts the settings directly into the people's hands that are affected by the processes day to day. So it just assists you in the development of your applications and business processes.
Gotcha. Thank you. In the projects that you worked on in professional services and some work that our marketing team last year, I would argue that we are we help our clients by reducing the amount of time it might take for software development lifecycle. Have you seen that in your experience?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you see, you talk to people who are looking to build an application. They're saying their development team will take it this long, and they see decisions team will take this long. Those are always, you can always make comparisons between like how long it would take to codify a project versus how long it would take to implement it in a low code, no code platform.
Hmm.
These platforms are just built to increase developer velocity through and through, right? Just to make things easier for your development team to be able to build these applications that matter for your business.
Gotcha. And so, you could argue that that would impact the speed at which developers can bring value to their organization. But you could also argue that that adds value to the business unit that could get that automation or that product or that project out into production faster. So there's two different ways decisions can impact an organization. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Speed of development, speed of the applications you're looking to build, and then speed of the kind of modifications and adjustments to the application that now you manage inside the tool. Both of those become much faster building it in a low code, no code platform.
Thank you. And then, since last year, we've had the introduction of this kind of disruptive, all attention getting, uh, you know, thing called AI. Today, we're going to talk a lot about that, but from your perspective, how how does AI complement decisions, or how does decisions complement AI?
Yeah, so there's two types of AI implementations or AI asks from the customers that I speak to around like what they're looking to do, what they're looking to improve, or how they're looking to leverage AI inside their company at large, right? We two types of use cases are like applied AI, like how can AI help in my day-to-day tasks, right? When we think about applied AI, we more think of agentic AI, trying
Hmm.
to get AI to perform tasks for us. Or we think about like AI as an OCR system, right? I want to pass it the file and I want it to return back the data that's important to me based off of my kind of query to the LLM. That's more of an applied AI sense. All those applied AI use cases have provide really good value for your company at large, right? And then we think about as far as like generative AI, we think about like making what you're trying to do quicker, right?
Hmm.
I'm probably bad at this myself, but sometimes I type into ChatGPT, can you write a email for me, right? And it quickly writes it, and I quickly remove the emojis and put it into an email body, read it really quickly and then send it off. And that's the kind of generative AI, right? It's creating something for you that can
Hmm.
speed up your time. So it's type of two types of use cases that you're looking for there.
Fantastic. Thank you. I'm going to pause for just a second. I think we may have a question. Um, if you would like to learn more, you can look at our website at decisions.com/events, and you can see where future events are coming if you're ever interested. All right. So I'm going to backtrack for a minute. I'm going to talk about the three different ways that our clients traditionally have used decisions. The last use case that I share will highly involve and revolve around AI. So bear with me for just a second. Um, what you're seeing on this screen is our rules engine. We have a very powerful drag and drop, if you will, rules engine where you can configure that engine about 9 different ways to consume data, to make it actionable, to make it intelligent. So we have large clients in insurance, we have large clients in financial services, banks, credit unions, um, almost every industry segment. You would be surprised that there is a rules engine application that we can solve for. The other thing that we do extremely well is that we extend and we expand existing applications that may reside in your tech stack. You could have a very large ERP application. You could have a CRM like Salesforce, any one of those applications. Rather than customizing that application, which can lock you into difficulty in upgrading or updating the technology, you can build that in Decisions, connect to that database via an API and enhance the capabilities. At Decisions, we like to say that we drink our own champagne. We've created a button in Salesforce that a seller can click on, and that would activate a team of resources, a team of colleagues that would help our client or help satisfy requirements that they would put together when looking at and evaluating decisions. Click of a button pulls up a screen, couple more clicks, click a button, hit submit, and I've got a team of people that are ready to address our clients' expectations. So it's pretty cool from that perspective. The other thing that we do, and this will tie in heavily to our conversation about AI today, is that we do orchestration extremely well. So we have clients that will invest in a decisions license. We will be put in their tech stack amongst all of the other applications that they use. And we can access these databases via a scheduled job, calling into a certain database at any point in time during the day. Or you could build this into a workflow to access these different applications on an as needed basis as that workflow is being completed. Start here, get this data, run it through a rule, apply an AI model to it, push it to an individual to do something with after we've identified the data that is needed. So we do this extremely well. If you're ever interested in seeing this in real time, we would be happy to schedule a demonstration for you. Feel free to reach out and we can do that accordingly. And here again, this is the best way to see a demonstration of our capabilities. So here it is. AI is here. What can you do with it? So I would probably stop for just a second and say, Josh, what can we do with AI? How do we make it real?
I mean, yeah, the sky's the limit on these types of things, right? Whether you're using it in like a generative kind of sense, being able to like speed up your day-to-day activities, or whether you're looking using it in like an agentic kind of sense where you're providing stuff for it to execute or real world things for it to do, like but both ways can benefit you as an individual or your company at large.
Gotcha. And I think we've talked about this a couple of times. In theory, or your example of using ChatGPT, generating something for you to use, the AI model is very good at doing that sort of thing. But it doesn't have any skeleton. It doesn't have any muscles. It doesn't have any arms or legs to kind of really automate a process. That's where decisions could help enhance the capability of that AI. Would that be fair?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, ChatGPT or any other LLM, like it can't do anything besides be generative on its own, right?
Mhm.
It at the end of the day, it's just a brain, right? That you ask it questions, it thinks and processes and sends it back. It does some web searches and stuff like that, but it can't, um, it can't do functional things like you could do with a no code platform, right? It can't send an email. It can't look through your AD naturally, right? It can't do all those types of things. By building in like in an agentic kind of way, you can enable those types of things to be executed by the LLM.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. So I guess this is leading perfectly into the next slide. So show me or talk to me through this slide. What exactly is going on here?
Yes. Yeah. This slide right here, this image explains perfectly like how an AI agent functions, right? You have your large language model off to the side, and then we put decisions off to the other side as like an orchestrator of this large language model. So
Hmm.
when you think about creating an agentic workflow, you're thinking about providing tools and functions for your LLM to be able to call and execute in its kind of path of executing things, right? if you were to ask it an LLM like to write you up an email, it can do that really quickly, right? But what if I wanted to actually send the email? It can't do that, right? With functions and creating the LLM agentic, you can make it send the email. I've been floating around this use case to salespeople and stuff through demos with other clients. But a really good example is here. If I want to ask a large language model to send me an email, it can't do it. But if I can provide it with a function to send the email, then it can do it, right? But then if I go one step further and ask it to send it to maybe my marketing team or maybe my IT team, then it has to do two things, right? It has to look up who the marketing team is, and then it has to send the email. So by some clever orchestration and providing all the functions the LLM can have access to, you can have the LLM trigger workflows inside of decisions, execute the values, and those values are spit right back to the large language model, where then it needs to potentially execute another one or summarize the example. So, large language models are really good for performing work or generating things, but it's not good for performing work unless you provide it with functions or workflows to be able to trigger, to be able to use inside the tool. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
If if I was evaluating an AI tool, what things should I consider?
Yeah, if you're looking to see if like maybe agents would fit well into like your organization at large, I would look at all the things in your notifications that kind of prevent you from doing your actual work. I know as a product manager here, I ask IT and support questions nonstop. That prevents them from doing their job, but allows me to do my job, right? So some of those things that you can do with like agentic AIs, you can provide a chat that instead of asking directly the IT team, I can ask them something, and the function that they've provided will provide the information back to me having instead of having the IT team directly respond, right? They can provide functions to answer my questions way quicker than they can, and they don't have to kind of spend time um, doing all that stuff when the AI can just do it for them.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So touched on this a little bit, but why is workflow so important when leveraging an AI model?
Workflows, it can provide like real data to the LLM, right? Where as if you're just trying to use it at large, it doesn't have any access to any data that you are trying to ask it, right? If I was trying to ask it again to send an email to my marketing team, it has no information about my marketing team. But with workflows, what you can do is you can provide it just the information it needs to be able to actually execute the tasks that I'm trying to get it to do. And so LLMs really can't do anything on their own. Providing functions, providing tools and workflows for it to be able to execute opens up a wide array of more activities that it can do.
Thank you very much for that. So I could leverage AI in a workflow. I could search for marketing team. I could go get that generative piece of data. I could make that intelligent via a rules engine, and then I could present that to somebody via an email and save them the whole amount of time of looking that up themselves from a workflow perspective, if you will.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's plenty of use cases around like kind of day-to-day activities. Like a really good example of an agent workflow is like a scheduler, right?
Hmm.
Um, I have to frequently schedule calls with multiple people in different departments all along my company, right? Just to get more info, right? Scheduling those events take so long, right? I have to coordinate all calendars, I have to figure out if it works, I have to look to see if something works with one person, doesn't another. When you look into building agentic AI, like I could make a workflow essentially to do all that for me, right? It can scan through people's calendars, figuring out what time works, and then coordinating a good time for everyone, right? Those are the types of things that I would have to do manually, and it would take me, maybe I'm really slow on a computer, probably take me 10, 20 minutes to be able to find that, where an agentic
Hmm.
AI can just do it while I focus on other things.
Gotcha. Thank you. Um, so we're going to talk about some use cases. We're going to talk about how decisions and AI agents are being executed today. Anything that you would like to add here before we talk about those use cases?
I would like to add that the AI agents are only as good as your company data, right?
Hmm.
Like if everything is kind of scattered all around, like then you're not going to have a good time implementing agents into your tech stack, right? If everything is kind of organized, well put in place where you can find everything you need, the agents are going to have a really easy time accessing all those things and being able to perform work for you. So the really important part is if you're looking to implement agents inside your company at large, you really have to make sure that the data the agent has access to is really good.
Hmm. And I keep hearing there are several different sources of AI. Like there could be an open source where you're going out into the world to use, uh, like Chat GPT, where it's a public source of AI, and then there's a closed source. Maybe could you talk us through the differences there?
Yeah, there's tons of like different providers and models inside of large language models, right? If we talk about like kind of the big three, there's Claude, which is Anthropic, there's
Hmm.
ChatGPT, which is OpenAI, and then I consider Google and Gemini to be one of the best ones. But those three are kind of the prestigious ones, and then there's some more open source ones. If we think about open source, we think about like maybe DeepSeek is like an open source LLM that you can use, and I think there's one called it's a really weird name, Hugging Face. It's an LLM that you can use that they have thousands of models that they've kind of fine tuned to be able to fit an exact niche of a need for you. But any of those can be used inside of decisions as long as it can be called as an API. And then we also have others that we kind of control on our side and provide you tools via our modules inside of our tool, which are free to download.
Fantastic, thank you. So let's talk about this. So here's a use case that, and I can share a real world example of this, but jump in here. Tell us about how you're enabling us sales guys to do our jobs better.
Yeah. So, I mean, currently we've implemented one kind of agentic solutions for our sales team. It's called Use Case Bot.
Hmm.
The decision sales team can ask it questions about like, can you pull up the best use case around insurance? And what it does is it goes to our Salesforce application, uh, looks through all the data, figures out what's good as far as insurance, and then it pulls you back the top 10 or 15 results around what it
Hmm.
can find, right? And then it summarizes it for you and provides it in a good list. That's an example of like a sales enablement kind of
Hmm.
AI agent. Of course, if you were to expand that a little bit more, right, and look into like the kind of IT support that they might need, a sales team member really needs information when they really need it. They really need it fast. Making an agent for your sales team can provide tons of value to the people who are kind of
Hmm.
need it the most. In a time of need, right? They'll be able to quickly ask it, what are the specs of this client? And it reaches out to the IT department via a function, pulls that info in, it's right at their fingertips, makes it a
Hmm.
lot easier for them. So that would be an example of like a chatbot interface for an AI agent and how a department could find that useful.
Yep, gotcha. I really am greatly appreciative of that use case AI bot that we've built. I've always been a fan of our capabilities, obviously. And I can remember back in the day, going to the report in Salesforce, pulling the report up, going line by line until I found the exact fit of what maybe a prospect that I was getting to meet with, or maybe a client had some type of question of can decisions do this? Have they done it before? And researching that information was always beneficial. It helped me, but it was very timely. And so now the ability to go in, put in a specific use case, a specific industry, and ask the question and get presented that information back is super helpful, super time conserving. Awesome. All right. So use case number two, support assistance. Talk to me about this, Josh.
Yeah, so this is an initiative we have currently ongoing in our support team. We're looking to try to figure out ways we can use agentic AI as like a background thing to be able to kind of assist the support team in doing the kind of minuscule tasks that comes in as tickets, right? The one example I think of is like a restart my server kind of support ticket, right? We're creating an AI agent that sits right in the middle between you interacting with a support ticket, right? It's going to spin up the ticket, but then it's going to launch this agent to try to figure out if there's any functions in its catalog that it can perform to be able to better speed up your ticket completion, right? So if the ask is to restart, typically what we have to do on the support team is we get that ticket, we submit an IT ticket, and then that goes and they start the process of figuring out what the best downtime is for your server to be able to restart it, right?
Hmm.
And an AI agent could do that without having any human interaction, right? So then it leads the support team to do the actual harder work while the AI agent is completing the kind of rudimentary tasks that come in to our support queue.
Gotcha.
And
I'm
then of
also,
course there's always human in the loop, right?
yeah.
If it can't figure it out, then it obviously gets sent right over to a support assignee, which when they can start trying to work on your ticket for you.
Hmm. Hmm. I'm also a fan. If any of you guys or any of the people on this webinar today have gone to our documentation site, very easy to access from this www.decisions.com. If you go down to resources, go down to documentation, you'll find a very, very informative documentation site on pretty much anything and everything you would ever like to know about decisions. We have built a bot, a Dart bot that we call it. And what can Dartbot do for us, Josh? I'm a big fan, but tell us about it from your perspective.
Yeah, so DARP is a agentic chatbot that we built inside of our tool. It's
Hmm.
also on our forum website where people can just like ask it questions, and it directly looks into our documentation and pulls back the information and tells you exactly what you want. So if you want to like, let's say you didn't know what a send email step did, right? Let's say you didn't know
Hmm.
anything about it. You could ask it, how do I send an email and decisions? It looks through our documentation, finds the appropriate one really quickly, and then pulls that information right to the top and says, here's the send email step, here's its inputs, here's how you use it, so on and so forth. So we've built that as like kind of uh, a good forward-facing way to people to search and look through our documentation. It's inside of our application right now. So if
Hmm.
you're looking at a flow, you can ask it, how do I design this flow? And it'll provide a bunch of steps for you on how to do things based off of our current documentation.
Thank you, Josh. Um, so maybe this is an obvious question, but how can AI add value to your day to day? But like a vitamin, right?
Yeah.
Are we keeping the doctor away?
Yeah, like a vitamin, right? You're just trying to find ways that you can focus on the things that really matter in your day to day, right? Like I'm a product manager here at Decisions. I'm constantly focused on like doing requirement documentation on like new features, trying to get new stuff put out there and into my developers' hands so they can start coding things, right? Um,
Hmm.
I probably get asked a bunch of questions about how things work, right? All the time, or hey, can I schedule a meeting with you? Can I check your calendar and stuff like that? Those are ways that I can just kind of use an agent to be able to perform those actions for me, right? If I know I need to schedule a meeting with an internal person, I can just ask an agent, hey, can you schedule a meeting with me and Ian? And it goes and looks at our calendars, figures out a good time, and schedules it for me. So it's those things that like I can cut away all the distractions and kind of
Hmm.
um, odd work that I have to do, and then be able to focus on what's really important for me.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
So what's next? Again, if we've touched on anything that has spurred some creativity, if we've touched on anything that may solve something that you're trying to work on within your organization today, we would be happy to schedule a demonstration for you. And you could access or request that demo, sales@decisions.com. Our next webinar will be Thursday, July 24th, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern. And this again will be with one of our clients, Foster's, a large retailer in the Cayman Islands. And then if you would like to attend an event, you can go to www.decisions.com, look under our events page and see things like our quarterly online Submerse training seminar, where you can get thoroughly trained in decisions, regardless of where you are in your understanding of our tool. So that's really easy. We invite you to come at any point in time, ask lots of questions. We're always here to help. Now would be a great time if you guys have any questions that you would like us to address. Please post those in the Q&A section, and we will address those accordingly. I'll check and see. Um, Looks like we've answered every potential question that our attendees could potentially have. I guess, what they'll probably do is they'll probably email us at sales@decisions.com, and we'll schedule a demonstration and answer those questions. Josh and I would like to thank you for your time today. Josh, very informative. I feel like I'm a little bit, more dangerous than I was before from an AI perspective. That may or may not be a good thing. Would you like to add any final thoughts before we go?
Yeah. I mean, some final thoughts. We are looking to implement a feature inside of our tool called an agent designer in the next kind of upcoming set of releases, right? This
Hmm.
agent designer will be a way that you can create, manage, and develop a full-blown agent for then the rest of your team to be able to utilize, right? Those things are going to be along the lines of creating the functions that we've talked about in this meeting, right? The
Hmm.
send email function so that you can just ask it to send you an email or do other things. Like those will be executing flows on the back end to be able to get this like agentic behavior that you're looking to do. You'll end up with after you properly configured and developed your agent, you'll end up with this chat experience where you can ask it questions, ask it to do stuff, and it'll execute things based off of the exact functions and flows that you've developed. Um, I'm happy to share any videos or demonstrations about this capabilities. We have a very rough demo that we're willing to share,
Hmm.
or walk you through if anybody's willing to or wanting to understand and learn more about how we built or how we're planning on using agents inside the tool.
Fantastic. Josh, thank you for your time. For everybody who was in attendance, thank you very much for joining us today. Hope you have a great rest of the week, and we will see you again in July. Thank you very much.